The oversight is there. The oversight is strong. What we need to do, Mr. Speaker, is make sure our police and security agencies have the tools they need. That's the real job here, and make sure we're not going after them, but we're going after terrorists and jihadists.
Tonight's top story remains the fight against terrorism. You heard Prime Minister Stephen Harper there defending his new anti-terror law. Well, it turns out Justin Trudeau's Liberals will vote for this new bill. They say they will give it their support, but they are calling, like the NDP is, for more oversight. Meanwhile, the big fight isn't over the new terror law, but about claims that this is all about targeting Muslims, and it goes back to comments that Prime Minister Harper made as he was unveiling his bill, where he mentioned terror and mosque in the same sentence. Roll clip.
It doesn't matter what the age of a person is, or whether they're in their basement, or whether they're in a mosque or somewhere else. When you are engaged in activities that explicitly promote or advocate terrorism, that is a serious criminal offense, no matter who you are. It will be a serious criminal offense. We cannot tolerate this any more than we tolerate people making jokes about bomb threats at airports. We do not tolerate this in this country, and anyone who engages in that kind of activity is going to face the full force of the law in the future.
All right, is linking a mosque and terrorism in the same sentence Islamophobic? Sun News contributor Gavin McInnes joins us now from New York. Gavin, this is surprising to me that this has become the big debate on this, but it shouldn't. I guess it shouldn't. You look at politicians around the world, they are afraid to link the two things that go hand in hand in pretty much every terror incident we've been talking about for the last 15 years.
Yeah, it should be beholden upon the offended to prove that these jihadists haven't been radicalized in a mosque. The fact is they have. In fact, it's a hate fact. And if you spew hate facts, you should suffer no punishment whatsoever, because he's telling the truth. Take the 10 past attacks on Western soil. Look at who did them. They were all radicalized in the West, and they were all radicalized in mosques.
Thomas Mulcair, the New Democrat Party leader, he is calling this Islamophobic. That's the actual word he used, speaking to reporters outside the House of Commons. Let's roll tape on that.
It was irresponsible of the Prime Minister to throw the mosques into his comments. It was a form of Islamophobia, and it was wrong. So he should realize that he was wrong to do that and simply apologize to the Muslim community who want to be partners on these issues.
All right, so Gavin, you've got that. You've got the National Council of Canadian Muslims, the Canadian Muslim Lawyers Association, saying there's got to be an apology. Meanwhile, the National Council of Canadian Muslims put out a book telling people if you see something wrong in your mosque, and the book's called United Against Terror, if you see something wrong, report it to the leadership. So they've linked mosques and terrors, but they want an apology.
So they're allowed to notice it, but we're not. Have you noticed the only time you hear about moderate Muslims, the only time you hear them vocalize an opinion is when they're offended? Let's hear them vocalize an opinion about Charlie Hebdo or the 2 attacks that went on in Canada in the same week. I didn't hear anything going on then. Let's hear them get mad then.
In fairness, they did say that they condemned the attacks, but spent, like Justin Trudeau, about half of their statement saying, but this has nothing to do with us. This has nothing to do with us at all. Look, we've even got President Obama at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington this morning saying, look, you can link this with faith, but it's an aberration of faith, and let's remember the Crusades. So even Obama's going back to that as he's speaking at a Christian prayer breakfast. We can recognize everything except the facts in front of us.
That literally made my jaw drop this morning when he said that. He has to go back 1,000 years to justify their behavior. And then he loops in slavery. Yeah, Obama's slavery was bad. Christianity ended it. Anyway, the important thing here is that we're at a war. We're in a war, and it's religiously based, okay? So, yes, there's Islamophobia, just like there was Naziphobia in 1942. We don't want to make laws that make speech illegal, and we should always be wary of the government trying to outlaw sedition. However, in the time of war, you're going to break some eggs, and we have to investigate this jihadist. Right now, the situation we're in now, we're radicalizing our own people. So let's swing the pendulum the other way.
Look, like you, I'm concerned about some of the provisions in this bill. I'm not concerned about allowing a spy agency to disrupt a terror plot. And all of these things, they come with judicial oversight and warrants. That's more than our hurt feelings human rights commissions have. But the fact is there is the judicial oversight there, and we can have a debate on it. What we can't have a debate on is whether there's a connection between the Islamic State and Islam, or people being radicalized in Canada, being associated with mosques, being leaders of the Muslim Students Association, and then being arrested on terror, and then we're told, never mind, there's nothing to see here.
Look, not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims. And we have to wake up to that fact and start catching them.
You're going to get in trouble for saying that, and someone will find the one or
Ted Kaczynski had some fertilizer in his truck?
Yeah, and they're going to find the one or two examples and say that discredits your entire argument.
Yeah, look at the past 15 attacks on Western soil since 9/11, and you'll see nothing but jihadists, you'll see nothing but Muslims, and more importantly, you'll see nothing but Western Muslims radicalized in Western mosques.
All right, Gavin, good talking to you. We'll leave it to the audience now. Send a